Lu Shu was just another worthless, disgusting orphan who was abandoned by his parents at a younger age, bullied every day by other shitheads who looked down on him. But little did they know, our boy has a legendary cheat power that could bend the entire world to his own will. The story kicks off with a mother crawling around on her broken legs while running from stalkers. With barely any strength left, she somehow managed to hide inside an orphanage. She sang her newborn baby a lullaby. But when the orphanage owner came to kick her out, she begged the woman to at least watch over her baby while she went to get food. The owner noticed the strange walnut pendant on the boy's neck and agreed to take care of her child for a while. But Lu Shu's mother just vanished, never came back because those stalkers caught her and sent her straight to the afterlife before she could return. Time passed and Lu Shu grew up in that orphanage. But life was just like hell. Every kid there roasted him daily for being ugly, and to be fair, they weren't wrong. But there was one little girl, Katie, who actually cared for him. She defended him, brought him warm water when he was sick, and tried to keep him alive when everyone else treated him like worthless. Even when Deadly Curse knocked on his door, she never left his side. As the years passed, Lu Shu finally decided to escape that orphanage. But like the disgusting, cold-hearted protagonist he was, he left Katie behind, not wanting her to suffer the miserable life he was headed toward. Out in the world, he tanked all his classes, nobody helped him, and his main business plan was selling stinky eggs. Yeah, Naruto wouldn't even give this man talk no jutsu, straight ignore. His life felt pointless, but just when he was ready to quit, Cade returned like the one ray of hope he didn't deserve. At first, he tried dragging her back to the orphanage, but Cade begged to stay. She said he was her only family, and honestly, even his busted old house felt more alive than the orphanage. Even when his stinky eggs wouldn't sell and dinner came straight from alley trash, she never abandoned him. Through freezing winters, poverty, and his illness growing worse, she kept caring for him, selling stinky eggs herself while he rested. They were starving, broke, and freezing, but at least they had each other. But Lu Shu's biggest wish was to one day earn enough money to give Cade a better life. And so, one night he spoiled her with sweets at the festival, like a discount sugar daddy running on pocket change. As they walked toward the main show, the flames nearly roasted Lu Shu's face, but suddenly time froze. The entire universe stopped moving, and his walnut pendant glowed gold. Nobody else noticed a thing, but Lu Shu realized the magician in front of him wasn't doing cheap tricks. This was real magic. After the performance, curiosity got the best of him, and he dragged Cade backstage. That's when they saw some shady men arguing with the magician. One of them casually pulled out a tranquilizer gun, shot him, and Cade screamed like a busted kettle. Their cover was blown. Thinking fast, Lu Shu acted like it was no big deal, saying it's not like they just saw the guy get shot in front of them and were going to the cops. Shockingly, the dumb criminals believed him. Lu Shu tried to leave with Cade, but their leader wasn't fully convinced. While walking away, a random man asked them if they'd like to spread the word of Jesus. Lu Shu, already broke from falling for crypto scams, told him he wasn't interested in another rug pull and kept moving. Life had already scammed him enough. To lighten the mood, Cade reminded him they weren't blood-related.
Damn!
While he prepared dinner, she said the only thing she wanted to eat was his nuts.
What do you mean by that?
His walnut, of course. Lu Shu ignored the setup for an anime incest plotline and went out to buy ramen instead. But as he crossed the snowy street, the legendary Truck-kun appeared, ready to send him to another world. The truck smashed him flat and his soul left his body, drifting into isekai territory. But since this was a Chinese anime, the gods blessed him with a cheat leveling system. His pendant floated into the air, cracked open, and jump-started his heart with golden energy. Lu Shu came back to life, and the first thought on his mind wasn't family or purpose, it was money. He was determined to never be broke again. When he demanded cash from someone, random numbers popped up above their heads, and terrified, the man ran off. Later, at a store, he tried buying ramen, but the cashier couldn't ignore the blood still pouring from his head. Lu Shu bolted and bumped into a couple on the way home. Once back, he bathed and realized the wound was gone, replaced by a glowing golden scar on his hand. When he activated it, a lottery system appeared showing all the coins he had collected, coins that came from people's negative emotions. Naturally, Lu Shu wasted no time dumping everything into the Wheel of Fortune, because if crypto gambling couldn't ruin him, this new world definitely could. Just when Lu Shu thought he wasted all his coins on a useless lottery system, the final spin somehow landed on jackpot. A glowing scroll appeared, and to his surprise, it contained the exact same lullaby his mother used to sing. He sang it out like a drunk karaoke singer, and as soon as he finished, the scroll crumbled into an energy orb. A massive beam of light shot down from galaxies away, flooding into his body until he opened his eyes and saw himself floating in the middle of a solar system. Of course, after blowing all his coins, the only solution he found was farming Cade's anger. So, he spent the night pissing her off while they binge-watched Sis-con anime.
What?
That alone should have been illegal, but suddenly an explosion of energy burst inside him. Curious, he climbed to the roof and spotted two suspicious guys hopping across rooftops like wannabe Spider-Man. Before he could hide, they noticed him and asked what he was doing there. Lu Shu, with the confidence of a professional bullshitter, said it's not like he saw them moving around like shady superhumans or anything.
Take lives.
Miraculously, these clowns actually believed him and told him to go home. Back inside, Kade asked who he had been talking to, but before he could answer, a random guy fell right outside the window. Lu Shu forced Kade to stay inside while he checked. But of course, she snuck out anyway and begged him to call an ambulance. He refused because ambulance bills were more dangerous than the fall itself. Just when he thought about leaving the body to freeze overnight, his system rewarded him with coins, and he realized the dude was faking unconsciousness. With zero sympathy, Lu Shu told Katie to leave the faker out there like his ex-girlfriend who dumped him after getting smashed by 3 dudes, because apparently he was too ugly. That insult alone gave him 470 coins. Feeling like the next demon lord, he kept farming the poor man's suffering. When the guy begged for water, Lu Shu tossed him a yellow snowball instead. The man spat it out and begged again, but Lu Shu pinned him down, draining more coins like a professional scammer. The stranger tried fighting back by burning Lu Shu's arm, but the golden heart inside him instantly nullified the flames. Every failed attempt only gave Lu Shu more coins. Finally, the man gave up, saying he was just kidding. As he stood to leave, Lu Shu smirked and told him to avoid the alleys or he might catch his wife cheating on him again. With that savage finisher, he walked home like the absolute menace he was. Back in his room, he dumped all his coins into the shop and bought his first item, a celestial fruit. The universe responded by blasting another beam of light at him, transporting him back to his solar system. The fruit transformed into an entire planet, and the energy nearly tore him apart. Snapping back to reality, Lu Shu noticed a glowing tree tattooed onto his hand. With his new strength, he casually lifted his bed, realizing he could now farm coins even faster. Instead of training like a normal protagonist, Lu Shu started a flame war in his school group chat. Insults flew, people raged, and his system rained coins like he hit jackpot again. By morning, he returned to his egg-selling business. A few classmates walked by, clearly recognizing him but pretending not to, because nobody wanted to be seen hanging out with the broke egg dealer. Lu Shu explained his situation to the guy next to him, saying most people were too embarrassed to be friends with someone poor. Right on cue, a loudmouth named Daoming stepped up to roast him. But Lu Shu hit back harder, saying the only thing poorer than Daoming's bank account was his pathetic caterpillar eyebrows and his 40-year-old receding hairline. The entire market echoed with that clapback. Trying to save face, Daoming flexed by buying every single egg, acting rich. Lu Shu happily took his money and loudly announced that some dumbass just bought all his eggs, gaining thousands of coins instantly. Daoming then tried flashing his VIP card as payment, but Lu Shu only accepted cash. Thankfully, stacks of bills were on the table, and before the argument could continue, the main love interest, Saria, made her entrance. Daoming froze while Lu Shu casually told him to shower next time because his breath stank worse than his personality. Later in class, the news broadcast revealed the appearance of superhuman awakeners roaming the world. One kid immediately screamed that an awakener had been spotted on the school rooftop. As Lu Shu headed upstairs, his body suddenly sensed danger. The closer he got to the rooftop, the clearer it became. The girl from earlier was actually another awakener. Up there, some delinquent genius was threatening to yeet the principal off the roof like trash day. But instead of panicking, Lu Shu thought this was the perfect chance to farm coins by roasting his classmates. So he called one of them ugly to their face and boom, free money. Surrounded by ugly CGI background characters, he knew this was prime coin harvesting season. The delinquent lifted the principal higher, claiming he couldn't go to jail because he was too young. Lu Shu, instead of helping, walked forward and started reciting the Constitution like a Walmart lawyer. Everyone thought he was a dumbass, which only made his coin balance skyrocket. While the crowd was distracted by his stupidity, officers rushed in and neutralized the delinquent. After the chaos, one girl came up, swooning over his heroic moment. But Lu Shu didn't care. He roasted her straight to the soul, saying he wasn't into girls who looked like dudes.
Damn!
That alone gave him enough coins to buy a lifetime supply of Fortnite V-Bucks. Back in class, however, things got sketchy. 2 shady scientists were waiting, forcing him to take a blood test. With nowhere to run, Lu Shu had no choice but to let these creeps stick their tiny syringes into him. Afterward, on his way home, he bumped into the same weird guy from earlier, who greeted him like some NPC that forgot its dialogue tree. When Lu Shu finally returned home, Cade had caught a fever from the cold weather. Feeling broke but desperate, he gambled his coins again, hoping for a celestial fruit that could heal her. After burning through 30 spins, luck finally hit, and he pulled the fruit. He even got 4 more and shoved them all down her throat. Her fever vanished instantly. Throughout the day, he kept feeding her celestial fruits, explaining that they could awaken her just like him. Of course, he couldn't resist roasting her, calling her useless, ugly, and the reason her family abandoned her. The system rewarded his cruelty with coins, proving once again that bullying paid in this universe. The next morning, their teacher announced that special students would now be trained under a new instructor. Among the chosen was the main love interest, Saria. The teacher called students up one by one until finally, Lu Shu was the last. To make things more awkward, a transfer student named Zhang joined, and the girl sitting next to Lu Shu immediately offered her seat because she didn't want to smell his stinky ass another day. That night, Lu Shu attended the secret class. Their new instructor revealed that all students' blood had been tested using a special alloy. Depending on how dark the mixture became, students were ranked from A to F. The top ranks had the power to wipe out entire cities. When the rankings were revealed, Lu Shu was slapped with F rank, the lowest possible. Everyone whispered behind his back, roasting him as trash. But Lu Shu just smirked and texted the group chat that all their moms were F rank too. Savage comeback secured. Later that night, he ate the last of his celestial fruits, and surprisingly, they were now purchasable in his shop. He checked his Wheel of Fortune, but this time, instead of a divine item, it gave him expired tofu, because of course it did. Still, he kept spinning all night until finally, jackpot hit again. A glowing scroll appeared, but before he could read it, the energy shot straight into Kayde's head. From above, a dark power descended, and suddenly she could see her own solar system too. As Lu Shu lay in bed, he wondered if their solar systems were connected. He also realized he'd need to roll 80 more expired tofu before unlocking another item. The next morning, he tested a theory. Could he turn coins into real cash? He spread the rotten tofu around town, the smell so awful it farmed him more coins. Shockingly, some idiot tried it, thought it tasted good, and soon the entire town lined up to eat his stinky food. Days passed, and Lu Shu became a full-blown menace to society. With every scam and insult, he unlocked star after star in his solar system. Eventually, he summoned the last celestial food, completing the entire system. Then, the same lullaby from his childhood began echoing around him. A massive surge of energy exploded into countless flames, and a mysterious dagger materialized before his eyes. That's when he realized the giant star he'd been powering all along was actually his own soul. Summoning the blade drained every ounce of strength he had, but it made him wonder just how terrifying he would become once he completed all 7 solar systems. The next morning, Kayde was actually starting to learn something for once. Mainly because Lee's wife bribed her with Pringles. But just as the house started feeling peaceful, Lee felt a creepy aura creeping up behind him. Turns out, some random dude from the Heavenly Network decided to pop in uninvited. Liu immediately panicked, realizing his sister might be in danger, and sprinted home faster than a Wi-Fi disconnecting during ranked matches. When he arrived, he spotted the guy and pretended he just came back for his forgotten lunch. Smooth acting? Not really. As soon as Kayde left, the Heavenly Network guy dropped some lore. Apparently, ancient ruins were reappearing, ready to throw their whole nation into chaos. He came begging for Master Lee's help, but Lee, being the salty grandpa he is, just rejected the offer and walked out. Before leaving, the man mentioned that the last seat in the Heavenly Network was still open. Basically, a job ad disguised as a warning. Later, Kayde returned and Master Lee wanted to flex her progress. He made her recite the sentence he taught her, and her delivery almost sent him into cardiac arrest. After recovering, he tossed 2 test vials at Lu to check his rank and dipped. That night, Lu couldn't wait to see how much his celestial fruit grind had paid off. His blood was dark enough to classify him as an A rank, but then his vial started glowing like a galaxy screensaver. Even he didn't know what that meant. Freaked out, he tried burying it outside, but of course, Master Lee caught him and asked about his rank. Lu lied through his teeth, claiming he was still F rank just so he could keep milking coins like a broke college student on ramen. As nights passed, Lu kept singing his weird cosmic lullaby, finishing more planets in his nebulas until a blue aura wrapped around him. Testing his power like a total idiot, he found out his second solar system gave him injury protection. Meanwhile, his sister was having the worst cosmic experience ever. Her celestial map was filled with black holes, sucking her in. Lu rushed to her room and saw her being dragged into darkness, but she snapped out of it just in time, announcing she broke through her first layer. When he asked about her new powers, she summoned an ant. Yeah, the same bug that died yesterday was now her loyal pet. Lu immediately wondered if she could summon more, so they went outside to test. She revived another frozen ant, but the first one instantly crumbled to dust. Turns out her power was limited to 1 summon at a time. She then flexed by creating a flying bird, explaining that her summons didn't drain energy and could stay alive forever. Lu, being the little scientist he was, wanted to know if they could summon an actual awakened person. Instead, he dragged her to a barn and picked a poor pig for experiments. Of course, his first idea was to punch the pig. Genius. Realizing how dumb that was, he summoned his magical sword instead. The pig bolted, but Lu yeeted it with 1 swing, obliterating it instantly. Kayde almost made her brother the next summon, but he bribed her with a week of scrambled eggs. She demanded 2. This girl knew how to negotiate. While feeding her eggs, Lu sensed a strange energy from the bridge. Before he could leave, Kayde clung onto his back, declaring she was tagging along whether he liked it or not. After hopping across rooftops, they spotted 3 thugs fighting Liu's instructor. One of the bandits was a D-rank awakener, spamming fireballs like he was farming XP in a mobile game. Zi-Fi casually deflected them with his bare hands until the ropes of the bridge caught fire. Things escalated quickly. While he was distracted, one thug almost crushed him, while another warped the ground to trip him up. Their sword-wielding teammates slashed down the weaker enemies, but nobody could scratch the leader. That's when Zai activated his sigil, turning the battlefield into a literal fireworks show. Smoke filled the air, and the leader used it as cover. 2 of Zai's comrades rushed in, only for the leader to drop a giant explosion that set the entire bridge ablaze. Once the smoke cleared, the 3 bandits stood there completely unharmed, flexing like they owned the place. Lu told Kayde to fall back while he moved in to uncover their identities. At that moment, the National Guard stormed the scene surrounding the area, but the bandits were already gone, slipping into another alley. Their 2 lackeys immediately realized they were screwed and started begging their leader to just surrender. The bandit leader wasn't stupid. He knew the Heavenly Network wouldn't forgive them for dropping 2 of their soldiers, so he told his crew to dip while he played bait. With soldiers closing in, he blew up the damn door in their faces. Classic knock-knock, but with extra boom. Unfortunately, the rest of the army already had him boxed in. Instead of panicking, the guy went full WWE, knocking out 2 soldiers and using their bodies as human shields, while sprinting through alleys like it was a discount parkour tournament. But one soldier had tricks. He smeared body paint across his hand, enchanted his sword, and skewered the leader into the wall like a kebab. Just when things looked grim, the squad noticed Lou glowing like a radioactive flashlight up above. Lou tried to play it cool, saying he was just looking for his lost cat. She, clearly not a cat person, ordered his men to grab him and started spamming sigils like a bad mobile game ad. Lou didn't sweat it. He front flipped across the battlefield, stepping on swords like he'd suddenly turned into a parkour god. Meanwhile, the bandit yeeted his own comrades at the general to buy time, but the general just sliced his wound open like he was auditioning for a horror movie and rushed in for the kill. At the same time, Lou was giving the female soldiers hands. He disarmed one with her own sheath, slammed her into a wall, then smacked the second one across the alley like a ragdoll. His acrobatics were so smooth, it felt like he'd been training with circus clowns his whole life. By the end, both women were unconscious, and Lou didn't even break a sweat. Back below, the leader was still brawling, parrying blow after blow until a dual wielder pinned him against the wall. Just when it seemed done, the man crushed 2 metal swords with his bare hands, yes, bare hands, grabbed the guy's skull, and unloaded a throat punch combo straight out of Mortal Kombat. He dragged him across the wall like he was repainting it with his face. Zai tried helping, casting sigils, but they did nothing. The beast tossed an unconscious soldier at Lou, then punched the ground, releasing black mist that turned the battlefield into Silent Hill. Zai tried catching Lou off guard, but Lou knocked the pole down, dodged debris, and still managed to clown on him. Zai lit up the field with magic, only to get a gas barrel yeeted into his face. The barrel exploded, burning him alive and slamming him into the wall. Karma hit harder than his own spells. When the smoke cleared, only the bandit was still standing. Lou powered up, and the bandit charged with a punch. Lou met it with his fist, and his cursed sword inside him flared up. It burned through the man's bones and ripped his entire arm clean off. The fight was over. Later at home, Lou took off his invisibility cloak and told Kate he wanted to test her powers again. They snuck out at night, and their neighbor was probably wondering why these 2 lunatics were creeping around past midnight. Cade said he was taking her to a 5-star restaurant and blowing his life savings for her happiness. Blue jokingly invited Master Lee, but the old man just told them to stay safe. On the way, Cade summoned her bird for aerial scouting. The coast was clear, but when they returned to the fight's location, all the bodies had vanished. Creepy. Cade sensed the souls of the dead lingering. Blue told her to swallow one, and she absorbed the energy, though she couldn't unleash it yet. She figured a single day would let her regain enough strength to summon him. Liu was glad progress was finally showing. He told her to head home, but she reminded him he still owed her that fancy dinner. He admitted it was just an excuse earlier, but she warned him that she'd drain his broke pockets anyway. At the noodle shop, Cade went full savage on his food, inhaling noodles like a vacuum cleaner. Liu told her he wished he could feed her like this every day. He hinted she might be better off back at the orphanage where life was easier, but those words broke her heart. She teared up, saying she didn't care if she had no coat or no food. The only thing that mattered was him, because he was family. She recalled everything they'd been through, and Liu finally admitted his dream. He wanted to buy them a home so they'd never worry about rent or starvation again. Cade clutched his hand, wondering if life would really get better. He squeezed her hand back and promised it would. The next morning, Liu was back on the street selling his stinky tofu. But the problem was he was running out, and the crowd of broke addicts had already gotten used to the smell. The magic was gone, and so were his coins. One dude even begged for more than one piece, but Liu hit him with the cold truth that everything was sold out, and just like that, he still got coins. That's when it hit him. He didn't even need tofu. All he had to do was bait these hungry idiots, tell them he was sold out, and watch them hand over cash while he crushed their sad little dreams. Truly, the birth of a scammer. Meanwhile, some random dude at night decided to pull a side quest of his own. He dug up his wife's life savings, pocketed everything, and dipped. Marriage goals, right? Back to the main story. When the clock struck midnight, Cade finally completed her mission. She showed up at Liu's place, knocking like an annoying Amazon delivery, and dragged along the man she summoned. Liu stared at him, curious if Cade actually had control. She flexed, saying not only could she control him, she could even read his memories to sniff out where the stolen money was hidden. While focusing, she found the exact spot and got hyped to dig it up like a treasure chest. But Liu wasn't having it. He said they'd return the cash to the police. Cade's face dropped instantly. She whined that they didn't have to return it. They could use that money to finally buy a house, so she wouldn't have to go back to the orphanage. Liu then pulled his good big brother act, kneeling down to promise her he'd never abandon her and that they'd get their home the honest way. But he ended it by telling her to drag her ugly face to bed. She stomped off mad, but deep down, she just wanted to keep living with him. She glanced at a flyer showing the house for sale at $240,000 and felt that stab of desperation again. The next morning, the fat bastard who stole his wife's savings strolled into school like nothing happened. But then he flexed his real status. Turns out he was a B-rank awakener. In front of everyone, he introduced himself as the new school director. Liu instantly sensed this guy was sketchy. Later that night, the dude appeared again, now dressed like Harry Potter on discount, and announced his name was Lee. Clearly, the author ran out of creativity when naming characters. Anyway, Lee said since a mysterious C-rank awakener had wiped out a whole army recently, they'd start giving out spirit stones to students every month. C-rank students get 1 stone, B-rank gets 2, and A-rank gets 10. The class leader looked at Liu like he was garbage, but then panicked when he saw Liu smirking while texting. Liu messaged him that he awakened after wrestling with his mom all night.
Damn!
Pure disrespect. After dismissal, Liu pulled Zhang into an alley and asked if spirit stones could be sold on the black market. Zhang warned him it was illegal, but said rich millionaires would pay big. Each stone could go for $100,000. Liu's eyes lit up. This was his jackpot, but he wanted more, demanding $120,000 per stone instead. Zhang quickly called someone, and the buyer instantly agreed. All he wanted was Liu's bank account. Liu was shocked how easy it was, but handed the stones over to Zhang anyway, trusting him as a close friend. With the deal done, Liu felt free. No more freezing in the cold nights for his sister's sake. He went straight to spoil her, buying snacks, showing her the land deed for their new house, and even gifting her a phone with his number already saved. He told her starting tomorrow, everything would be theirs. The courtyard, the walls, the plates, and even the damn ants crawling around. She hugged him, crying tears of happiness, asking if he'd still need to work every day. He said yes, he'd keep selling to cover food. But the truth was, the menace just enjoyed scamming people out of coins. Later that night, the celestial map appeared again, and the second nebula lit up. His power was rising, and so was the chaos he was dragging everyone into. At the same time, while the dark aura was creeping toward his sister like rent day sneaking up on a broke student, Liu was out here clowning on everyone while selling food. He roasted the crowd for being broke as hell and casually stacked up hundreds of points like it was nothing. Then Li showed up asking for some stinky tofu, but froze when he noticed Liu's face looked familiar. Liu revealed he used to be Li's student, and Li, trying to look generous, told him he could get tofu for free every day. But the food seller next to them wasn't having it. He yelled at Li for taking advantage of poor little orphan Liu, whose own mom hated him so much, she threw him out like expired milk. He added that everyone in school bullied him because he was a disgusting, lonely, ugly loser who reeked of depression. Then the man went full drama mode, explaining how Liu worked every single day just to barely afford food and studied non-stop in his free time. Hearing this sob story, Li ugly cried like he just watched his first K-drama and shoved $100 into Liu's hand to apologize. The seller squinted and asked who the hell that cheap bastard even was. Liu casually dropped the bomb that this dude was actually their new principal. Meanwhile, after signing all the paperwork for his new home, Liu got a mysterious phone call ordering him to show up at a newly opened ruin immediately. He messaged his sister, telling her the house was finally theirs, but he'd be gone on a field trip for a few days. At night, some girl from Tinder sent him a spicy picture to bait him in, but Liu cooked her instead, saying she looked so damn busted that it made sense her dad abandoned her.
Damn!
The next day, hundreds of military vehicles transported everyone to the ruins. Liu, being Liu, roasted them all by saying the air smelled like an anime convention, instantly farming more coins from his insults. When they arrived, the chef served food, but the class leader walked over and smugly said he was glad to see Liu finally eating actual food instead of orphanage dumpster scraps. Liu just sighed, while Saria suddenly appeared behind him, then disappeared the moment he turned around. During lunch, a massive fat ass wandered around looking for a seat, so a soldier politely offered him his chair to calm the beast. But when he left, Liu straight up told the soldier to stand back up and then smacked the fat guy so hard in the neck that he collapsed unconscious like a Jenga tower. Everyone agreed, Liu was built different. Zhang admitted he was impressed that Liu actually folded the walking buffet, so he offered Liu some food as a reward. Zhang also explained that because they were near the ruins, their systems would level up faster. That night, Liu tested how to enter his celestial map without singing his usual lullaby. He realized he could spend the time farming coins instead. Meanwhile, the class leader tried to meditate in peace, but Liu turned into a demon of annoyance, breathing down his neck, reciting his whole life story and laughing right in his face. The points shot up like crazy, and by morning, Liu had earned 47,000 coins just from being an annoying little menace. He briefly wondered how his sister was doing, but realized there was no data service out here. At lunch, the chef rewarded him with extra food for knocking out the walking oil tanker earlier. Another soldier offered him his seat, but Liu rejected it, saying he'd rather sit on Zhang's lap instead.
What?
Zhang, confused but curious, asked how Liu planned to rank up. Liu confidently revealed he just needed to arm wrestle the class leader again. Every night, Liu kept tormenting the poor guy by reciting more of his tragic backstory. Eventually, the class leader snapped, running off to a cliff just to escape Liu's voice. He thought he was finally safe to meditate in peace, but Liu hunted him down like the devil himself. That's when the class leader realized there was only one true escape from Liu's torture: jumping off the cliff. The following day, Liu sat away from everyone else to meditate and entered his celestial map to release the rest of his fruits. This time, he unlocked a whole new planet. A swirl of light surrounded him, forming a black cloak that gave him an invincibility boost. Later at lunch, the group tried to let him eat first, but then the class leader came back, laughing like a villain, and mocked Lou for still being stuck at F rank. Lou fired back, asking if he wanted to arm wrestle again to prove who was stronger. The class leader wanted a real spar instead, but Sai stepped in, declaring that the only approved fights here were arm wrestling matches. Reluctantly, the class leader agreed, and the tension was set. Inside the camp's tent, the boys faced off like it was WWE, and everyone put their bets on the class leader to win. But the moment the match started, Lou slammed his arm down on the table harder than he slammed someone's mom last night. He screamed that he ranked up again, while the class leader sat there questioning life, wondering why he just got folded worse than his mom. Zai, not learning from the first idiot's mistake, challenged Lou too. But Lou destroyed him instantly and bragged that it was thanks to the class leader's mom, since he got to wrestle her every night.
Damn!
Before anyone could recover from the second-hand embarrassment, a strange mist started rising from the ruins. Jiang revealed that the portal had finally opened, and the only way to escape was to obtain the eye, otherwise they were all stuck inside forever. Suddenly, alarms blared, the fog spread like free Wi-Fi, and the entire camp fell into chaos. People screamed and ran, but most were swallowed by the vortex. Poor Lou got sucked in as well, smacked his head like a cartoon character, and somehow survived with a concussion. He woke up in the middle of the wilderness, only to have an axe come flying straight at his skull. He barely dodged before a skeleton knight jumped him, but Lou snatched the axe mid-fight, shattered his bones like cheap chopsticks, and dropped him on the ground. After that, he climbed a stone for a better view, wondering where the hell everyone went. But the ground decided to grab him back. Skeletal arms shot out, forcing him to jump off and run for dear life. While escaping, he ran into 4 students who screamed at him to run if he didn't want to end up zombie chow. He turned just in time to see one of his classmates get munched like KFC, so he slashed the zombie's head off and went berserk, cutting through the undead like he was auditioning for The Walking Dead. But when one zombie tackled him to the ground and tried biting his neck, his classmates proved they were about as useful as Wi-Fi on an airplane. They just stood there. Lou had to fight his way out, smash the zombie's skull, and then walk back to them like nothing happened. They begged him to stay and protect them, but he told them zombies were going to crawl out of the dirt anyway, so they were screwed. He dropped his axe and walked off, leaving them to cry about their life choices. Days later, Lou was still chopping zombies like it was his full-time job. His acrobatics and new sword skills helped him mow down a group of 6, and when night fell, he climbed a mountain for safety. On the way, he saw a kind officer's corpse getting eaten by vultures, and he didn't even stop. Man just kept walking like it was a normal Tuesday. But then, he spotted a flare in the sky. He leapt, knocked it down, and traced it back to a ravine where a strange man held a flare gun. Liu instantly knew something was off. His system showed the man's name as numbers instead of letters, which screamed spy. The spies had planted these tools before the mist devoured everyone. And since Liu already knew every face in his school, plus every mom, this dude was definitely an outsider. Perfect victim material. The man introduced himself as Chang, but Liu roasted him right away, saying he'd never seen someone so ugly. Chang asked to see his sword, but Liu pulled it away and told him he was saving it to penetrate his mom. Chang muttered that his mom died last year. But Liu brushed it off and promised to keep him safe, just to piss him off even more. From that moment, Liu decided Chang was his new toy to farm points from. They kept running, but zombies surrounded them. Chang tried to use the chaos to escape, but Liu wouldn't let him. Chang begged him for the sword to defend them, but Liu clung to it and pretended to be terrified. When zombies closed in, Liu shoved Chang to the ground and bolted. Chang somehow fought them off with a tiny knife, proving he had at least half a brain, and sprinted after him. Just when Liu thought he ditched him, Chang turned the corner, glaring at him like he was ready for murder. Liu faked being out of breath, and Chang slowly put his knife away when Liu suggested they rest somewhere safe. With that, the two ran off toward a giant hill, their dysfunctional partnership just beginning. After climbing up together, Liu was already side-eyeing this random dude like he was free cash walking on 2 legs. Instead of bonding, he thought this was the perfect time to farm coins out of him. So he pulled the oldest scam in history, pretended to fall asleep wide open and defenseless, basically screaming, "Rob me." By morning, this clown had farmed a fat 30,000 coins off Karen Head over there. But then reality hit. Man hadn't eaten in 2 days, stomach sounding like a dying motorcycle. So he stood up, acted like he was going to look for food, but instead dipped out of sight, pulled out his rank 99 expired tofu, and started munching like it was a Michelin star meal. Meanwhile, Chang was lying around, cluelessly waiting, until Liu snuck up and hit him with 1,000 years of pain. The poor guy screamed so loud it echoed, wondering why the air suddenly smelled like rotten gym socks mixed with sewer water. Dude was confused how Liu found food when he himself had been starving for a whole week. Liu, being the troll he was, started naming meats: bacon, lamb, steak, like a walking food menu. That was enough to make Chang snap and throw a full power strike. Liu barely parried, and the fog made the scene even messier. Chang rushed in, trying to slice him down, but Liu's acrobatics turned into a circus act that ended with him eating a clean kick to the face. Spinning like a Beyblade, he grabbed Chang's arm mid-charge and yeeted him to the ground. But Chang wasn't done. He scrambled back up and went wild, swinging like a drunk uncle at karaoke night. Liu dodged, parried, then headbutted him before sending him flying with a punch. At this point, Chang realized he was built like a tutorial boss compared to Liu's main character energy. He tried one last desperate ambush through the fog, but Liu clapped him again. Out of options, Chang summoned his discount mystical corpse dog, but Lu still came out on top. The win wasn't sweet though, he actually felt bad. The guy he just killed had been his coin farm buddy for a whole day. Lu sat there like, damn, the world really is cruel. He promised to keep moving forward, even though all he wanted was to see his sister again. Days later, Lu stumbled across a half-eaten apple, finally finding something that didn't smell like biohazard tofu. He climbed the tree and helped himself, but the local squirrels weren't having it. These tiny furries went feral, and Lu, being a menace, ate the fruit right in their faces while robbing the tree blind. The squirrels started chucking stones, and then their boss appeared. A sumo squirrel with a boulder in hand. Lu ran off laughing, but quickly realized the fruit gave him cracked energy and thirst restoration. So he sprinted like a man who just discovered Gatorade. Eventually, he reached a river, hydrated, ate more fruit, and figured the formation eye must be somewhere inside the ruins. But before he could step in, a wolf popped out, followed by another. Lu cut one down, tried running, only to see 30 more wolves waiting like it was a family reunion. Man booked it instantly, farming points every second while screaming internally. Back in the forest, the salty squirrels resumed their stone-throwing beef. So Lu swore he'd come back and rob every single fruit they had. Just as he left, a wolf leapt and slashed his arm. He tried eating a celestial fruit, but the wound wouldn't stop bleeding. Even with death breathing down his neck, Lu swore he'd survive to see his sister. He ran for hours, night falling, wolves still hunting him down. When his shoes finally wore out, Lu straight up threw them at the wolves, knocking 2 out clean. Turns out running barefoot made him even faster, so he kept sprinting until he eventually spotted his schoolmates camping together. Perfect timing for a dramatic main character entrance. One of them was holding his axe and begged for help. But Lu, never missing a chance to roast, said he'd rather let ugly people starve, especially since they pronounced asked as axed. Man just discovered an infinite coin glitch by roasting broke classmates. He casually asked how long they'd gone without food, and the girl admitted it had been 3 days with no food or water. She begged him to save her, but Lu, with zero mercy, called her a gold digger and pulled out apples to eat right in front of them. Every bite crunched so loud it was basically ASMR torture. The desperate girl dropped all pride, got on her knees again, and Lu, grinning like a devil, dangled the apple in front of her face. She opened her mouth wide, eyes shut, waiting for a taste like she was auditioning for humiliation. The group of 8 idiots thought they had numbers on their side, so their leader demanded Lu's food. But instead of giving it up, Lu started flexing his inner master chef, listing out Wagyu steaks, maple syrup bacon, and blueberry waffles. The poor guy listening almost fainted from food envy. Honestly, surviving that long against Lu's food torture was the real miracle. Lu, annoyed but amused, stood up and casually grabbed his axe, scaring all of them like children caught stealing snacks. He asked if the man wanted the axe back, but when the guy said yes, Lu told him tough luck. Then, just to rub salt in the wound, he ran off with their sword while leaving 2 apples behind like some broke Santa Claus. Flashback to earlier. Lu was trolling a girl during the test. When she passed him a note for answers, he didn't write anything useful. Instead, he tossed a paper at the class leader with the words that he slept with his mom last night.
Damn!
No mercy, pure disrespect. Time passed in the ruins, and another week went by. Lu wondered if his sister was still okay, but right after those words slipped, the sound of a horse echoed. A skeleton knight rolled up and instantly swung at his head. Lu barely kept his balance, fighting to keep his footing. Things got worse when 2 more horses came thundering down. Acting fast, he stole the spear and knocked the skeleton off, then climbed up a mountain to escape the horde. The skeletons fired arrows like angry pigeons, but Lu dodged all of them until they gave up and walked away. Of course, they took his spear, leaving him with nothing but petty frustration. One skeleton even pulled out a tiny sword like it was flexing a butter knife. Not far away, Heavenly Network soldiers were watching. They planned to kill the skeleton leader to cause chaos. A sniper spotted one holding just a sword and assumed that was the leader. He took the shot, killed it clean, and then realized he hit the wrong skeleton. Now the knights were pissed and rained arrows on them, forcing the soldiers to retreat. During all this chaos, Lu crept along a cliff like a ninja. The moment he had the chance, he leapt down, stole a knight's spear, and climbed back up, dodging a rain of arrows without even breaking a sweat. This man was basically speed-running a war. Later, hiding in a tree, Lu realized that once they left the ruins, all weapons would be confiscated. So he decided to trade his loot with students instead of wasting it. But right when he thought he had the upper hand, the knights baited him into a trap and surrounded him. They thought they had him, but Lu wasn't about to fold. He charged his spear with mystical energy and launched it into the air. Then, like some god of chaos, he grabbed weapons mid-battle, cut down knights left and right, and even hurled his axe at another one. His dodges were sharp, his laughs disrespectful, and every move screamed, "I'm built different." One skeleton tried to arrow him, but Lu flipped, threw a spear straight through it, and grabbed another weapon like it was nothing. He dismantled the entire squad, slashed the swordsman, knocked another knight off his horse, and smashed the last one into the ground. Victory was his, along with every weapon they had. Meanwhile, Cade was still pissed at him for leaving her hanging. She was throwing darts at her brother's face on a picture, cursing him as a bastard. Ignoring his warning not to open a box, she opened it anyway, only to find another box, and another, until finally discovering a bag of chips. The note said to wait for him so they could eat it together. She smiled, but her heart sank when she realized he hadn't replied to any of her texts. Back with Lu, he climbed another mountain for an ambush. While waiting, he sat down to meditate and munched on another celestial fruit. This transported him into his solar system, where he unlocked another planet and felt its raw power. The Heavenly Network soldiers set up an ambush on 9 skeleton knights. Just as they were about to strike, a spear shot down from the heavens and killed their leader instantly. Then more spears rained down, one even pinning a skeleton against the wall. Leo finally stepped out like the star of the show, forcing the Heavenly Network to help him. But even with backup, Liu dominated. He ripped through skeletons with his spear, switched to his sword, and slashed down another knight with reckless speed. When one tried to sneak up, he ducked and stabbed it without hesitation. The soldiers were stunned, whispering about how powerful he was. One guy without eyes literally asked if this was Liu Shu, to which his buddy roasted him, telling him to just open his damn eyes instead of asking stupid questions. In the end, Liu claimed all the weapons, making it clear they belonged to him and him only. After a while, Liu managed to scoop up every spear and sword like a broke blacksmith running a pawn shop. The leader stared at him and asked why he was hoarding all these weapons when he clearly couldn't swing half of them. Liu smirked and admitted he wasn't wrong, then started flexing like a shameless street vendor. He told everyone the weapons were now for sale. Cheap price, big discount, everything must go. Turns out, all his years of hustling expired eggs had been training for this exact moment. In his words, defense was worth more than gold right now. A guy immediately asked if he could buy a sword, but Liu quickly realized nobody here carried cash like normal people. So he eyed the guy's jade necklace and asked its price. When the guy said 13 grand, Liu tried trading for it, but the man rejected him instantly. Another soldier stepped up and handed over his $12,000 watch instead. Then one dude offered a 27-karat gold chain, another tossed in a $2,000 watch. Any sane person would have looked at these half-dead soldiers and thought of helping them. But not Liu. This man decided suffering was free, but survival? That's premium service. Before long, everyone was lining up like it was Black Friday at Walmart, except Liu was the only cashier. He had them dripping harder than SoundCloud rappers in fake Versace. 2 broke buddies pooled their money and gave him 2 grand for a sword. But Liu, being the scumbag he is, said, "Nah, that's axe money, not sword money." He handed them a shiny axe instead, claiming it was sharper than any sword. To their surprise, he wasn't lying, so they took it gladly. By the end of this shady trade fest, Liu was richer than he'd ever been in his life. As they pushed deeper into the ruins, he strutted like a man who just robbed a bank with legal receipts. Hours later, they set up camp and everyone was starving and parched. For the first time ever, Liu decided not to be a walking menace. He pulled out apples and handed them to the leader, saying they should slice them up and share. The moment everyone ate a piece, their hunger vanished, their thirst disappeared, and their energy shot back up like they just drank 10 cans of Monster. Then one idiot waved a $31,000 watch in Liu's face just for an apple. Liu, of course, accepted without hesitation and realized he was on his way to millionaire status. Someone called him evil for hoarding food, but Liu clapped back, saying life wouldn't be so hard if they weren't useless freeloaders. Right then, a creepy wind swept through the ravine and dozens of ghosts came flying straight at them. The students readied themselves for battle, but Liu had a bigger problem. His corpse dog was trying to crawl out of his chest like an unwanted chest burster. He shoved it back in, trying to keep his secret under wraps. But the moment a ghost got too close, it felt the demonic aura radiating from Liu and immediately dipped. The others followed, scattering like they'd just seen rent collectors. Liu stood there stunned, realizing his powers were becoming even more busted by the minute. Eventually, they reached the very center of the ruin. One guy casually mentioned that Saria had saved him from 2 skeletons before dying a hero, but when he looked at her eyes, all he could think was how badly he wanted her holding his spear. Liu pretended not to see her and instead chose the perfect time to flex his wealth again. He started selling more weapons in exchange for jewelry, and the group kept handing him thousands like it was a charity auction for the rich. When he was nearly done robbing everyone blind, a man called him to meet the leaders of the Heavenly Network. Liu made sure to strut in and show off his new jewelry collection like some wannabe rapper, while low-key calling Saria a gold digger. The leader introduced himself and told Liu to stop selling spears because he actually knew how to use them. Liu nodded, and the leader stepped forward to the center of the ruin. From his core, he pulled out a sword and sent it crashing into the ground like a divine flex. After scouting the hole, he declared they'd dive in tomorrow. That night, Liu's system gave him a warning about 9 spies nearby, each with a number for a name. He had no clue who they were. Suddenly, a tree started shaking. Turns out, it was Lee trying to push it down, but instead, a squirrel popped out screaming at him. The furry little guy saw Liu's ugly face and went feral, ready to attack. After they picked the fruits, the squirrel was about to collapse from stress, so Liu tossed it an apple. The squirrel instantly became his most loyal fan. Soon after, Zhang caught up with Liu. Meanwhile, a few greedy bastards tried scheming to steal his weapons. Their leader offered 50 grand for a spear once they got out, but Liu wasn't falling for that scam. Later, when one of the spies accidentally exposed himself by giving him coins, Liu knew and told the guy to piss off. That night, while everyone else slept, Liu laid there proud that his own sister's anger was still making him rich, but deep down he realized she genuinely hated his guts now. In the middle of the night, all the spies suddenly woke up and bolted straight for the center of the ruins, diving headfirst into the abyss. When the last idiot tried jumping down, something stopped him midair. Lou smirked and told the guy he wouldn't snitch if they split the loot. 99% for Lou and a pity 1% for him. The spy knew he was cooked, so he agreed. But as soon as Lou left, this clown thought he could pull a fast one and jumped anyway. Too bad Lou grabbed him again, grinning like the devil himself. Meanwhile, the other spies noticed one of their buddies missing, but instead of panicking, they just shrugged and kept going. One spy tried being slick by throwing a sigil at Lou, but by the time it landed, Lou was already gone. The bandit tried pulling out his sword, but all he managed to do was scream his lungs out, alerting everyone that a spy was trying to steal the formation eye. His big mouth earned him a front row seat to pain because a mystical tiger appeared and Lee himself slammed the guy's face into the ruins like he was taking out the trash. Now that they knew spies were among them, Lee decided there'd be no rest. He ordered everyone to head straight into the ruins before anything else could get stolen. Liu suggested they keep the man alive for questioning, but Lee just ignored him like he was background noise and kept walking. The students lined up, but the director couldn't stop side-eyeing Liu, thinking he looked dumb as hell, draped in all those jewels like a broke rapper. Lee then realized he could hustle this fool, so he offered him a deal. Hundreds of ruins were about to open up to him, but since Liu was just a student, he couldn't enter without Lee's permission. The price? Just one gold chain. Liu thought about it for a second, but ended up roasting Lee by calling him ugly before walking away. Once everyone was ready, a woman walked to the center and activated a spell that made glowing stairs spiral down the hole. As they descended, a horde of ghosts rushed out, forcing Liu to hide his corpse dog before things got ugly. At the bottom, Lee noticed everyone's bodies were stiff, which meant their spirits had been pulled away by the circling ghosts. Hours later, they finally reached the ruins' core, but the entrance slammed shut behind them. Crystals lit up and more ghosts swarmed from above. Lee flexed, summoned his power, and blew a chunk of them away with one punch. But with over 80 still flying around, the soldiers had to gang up and fight. One ghost tried to attack Liu, but froze like it had just seen rent prices. Even the ghosts knew not to mess with him. Liu quickly turned it into a farming session, cutting them down and absorbing their spirits into his sword for free coins. Then, tragedy hit. One spy's ghost murdered Lee's lifelong friend, triggering him to rage out and unleash his tiger powers, obliterating everything in sight. While Liu was busy wondering where the rest of the ghosts went, his corpse dog blasted another one away, dropping a jackpot of coins. Liu played it off like it was pure skill, but everyone else saw it was just dumb luck. He even tried proving himself by swinging randomly, but the only time his hit connected was when Lee's attack accidentally landed too. After that, nobody believed Liu anymore. Man was the definition of lucky trash. Suddenly, the gates burst open and an army of zombies spilled out. Lee immediately went for their leader and the two started clashing like gods. With one heavy strike, Lee shook the entire ground and even killed the leader's horse mid-fight. The soldiers joined in, hacking away at the horde, but Liu? He was out here farming kills like he was grinding for achievements, spearing zombies and landing a triple collateral. Just when one zombie nearly blew his head off, Saria swooped in like a badass, dodging every strike and slicing enemies down. Liu admired her for a second, but then his focus snapped back when a zombie turned tail and ran. Turns out, the coward wasn't scared of Liu at all. It was running from his corpse dog, which terrified the whole army. While the soldiers fought for their lives, Liu had other priorities. He ditched the battlefield to sneak around the massive castle, looking for loot to resell like a true hustler. His corpse dog lit up with a strange aura as they moved deeper inside. Then, in one hallway, a ghost tried to ambush him, but Liu casually bent down, thrust his blade straight through it, and erased it instantly. He stood there, wondering just how many spies were still hiding in the shadows. At the same time, Lee was struggling for his life, facing a skeleton that tried tossing the ground at him. He parried the attack and lunged forward, but the skeleton dodged every strike. Undeterred, Lee kept pressing, using martial arts tricks to stay on the offensive. He eventually grabbed the skeleton's spear and hung on for dear life. The skeleton, calling him an annoying fly, started tossing him around like a ragdoll. Meanwhile, Liu finally reached the central door in the castle and opened it. Inside, he heard movement and immediately spotted a knight. Before he could breathe, 12 more lit their eyes and advanced. His corpse dog leapt into action, blocking the guards and forcing them to retreat. Liu saw the perfect opportunity to make some more cash, so he started snatching their weapons while glaring at their poor faces. The royal guards, frustrated and flustered, eventually surrendered their weapons, and Liu continued racking up coins like a literal vending machine. Back in the chaos, Lee tried grabbing the spear to escape the formation, but the knight had a death grip on it too. Their heads clashed, mystical energy crackling between them. No soldier could gain the upper hand, and just as the skeleton leader was about to be eliminated, Saria unsheathed her sword and wiped out 5 skeletons in half a second. She taunted Lee, saying his D had fallen off. The skeleton leader focused his energy into 3 dragons that barreled toward Lee, barely missing him as they exploded. 7 more dragons trapped him, with an 8th ready to bite from behind, but Lee refused to let go of the spear. The skeleton leader, deciding he'd had enough, released him, letting the dragons consume their own pawns. Lee unleashed his ultimate spell, broke free, and surged toward the knight, seizing the spear and kicking off him with brutal precision. Saria continued clearing the remaining skeletons while scanning for Liu. Deeper in the room, the skeleton guarding the formation eye felt a presence and bolted. Lee grabbed the spear, realizing the formation eye wasn't what it seemed, and chased after the knight. When the skeleton leader returned, he found all his guards weaponless while Lee had already caught up. He ordered the knights to kill Lee, but by the time they ran toward him, Liu had picked up a strange object from a box. A girl was seconds from doom, but Liu managed to grab the item midair, causing colors to vanish and Thanos-style erasing the enemies from existence. He even heard the words, "Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good." But finally, everyone was safe from the cursed ruin. The world around them began collapsing, the ground cracking, humans swallowed up by gravity, and all energy being drained into lost items. Spears formed a protective circle around Lee, while a squirrel clung to him before vanishing. This chaotic reappearance montage dragged on, with Jang frantically searching for Liu and Saria doing the same. Lee, meanwhile, sneaked out of camp as soldiers handed over their items. Jang screamed he couldn't find Lee, but the director praised the boy's sacrifice for saving everyone. Some students were secretly glad Lee died after scamming them, but the class leader looked genuinely upset and offered to search for his body. Suddenly, Liu appeared, blinking in front of him, telling the class leaders he could find him in his mom's bedroom.
Yeah.
He handed all remaining weapons to the teacher and smashed a table for good measure. As Liu walked home, his sister's negative emotions spiked, and he spotted a bag of chips waiting for him in a tree. He reached out for a hug, but she jumped down and kicked him square in the face. She checked him over, relieved he wasn't hurt, and hugged him tightly, crying. Liu apologized for making her wait, but she ran home ahead of him. On the way back through the streets, Liu proudly showed off his riches and expensive watches. His sister didn't care about money, she only cared about him. He promised to take her to a nice restaurant tomorrow, and they made a pinky promise. Lee, relieved that Liu and his sister were safe, told him to rest up before training again. Liu thanked everyone for looking after his sister while he was gone, finally feeling like he could catch a breath after the chaos. Once they were alone, Liu asked Katie to summon her energy body. As she did, he conjured 2 magical pearls from his own body. Katie asked what they were, and Liu explained they were the concentrated essence of the ghosts he had absorbed. 1 dark pearl, 1 light, with the light one coming from humans, who had originally been ghosts. Curious about the effect, Liu shoved the light pearl into his mouth and swallowed it. Instantly, Cade's energy body surged with strength, but she groaned, wondering when Liu would stop bullying her summons. Liu grinned and said he had one last gift, producing 2 apples. Cade ate them, savoring their taste, when the notorious squirrel popped out again, screaming at her for eating his food. Cade, smitten, scooped him up, declaring him the cutest thing she'd ever seen. Liu, already shaking his head, watched as she started playing with the squirrel's face. She named it Fatso at first, but Liu vetoed the anticlimax and she reluctantly renamed it Liu, feeding it a potato chip. The squirrel devoured it like it was manna from heaven. Cade then devised a manipulative genius plan. She set the squirrel in front of a whole bag of chips, promising it more treats if it obeyed her. Liu couldn't believe how effective she was. With that chaos settled, Liu focused on the ruin. He projected his consciousness over the city, floating above it, but felt an overwhelming aura emanating from himself. Something felt off, so he returned to his body and descended into the base of the formation. There, he saw all the weapons he had absorbed. A giant door blocked his path. It barely budged when he tried pushing it, giving him only a peek of the castle he had just escaped. Cade tried waking him, hugging him tightly and confessing she was scared he might leave her again. Liu promised he wouldn't, reassuring her he'd take her to dinner and buy a flashy TV with the gold chains he'd collected. Outside, winter snow melted as fireworks lit the sky. Liu was glad to share this moment with Kade, the only light in his chaotic world. With that, the story teased the next adventure, leaving our viewers hungry for the chaos to come. But don't worry, because the Season 2 will be uploaded soon on this channel. So you know what to do now. Subscribe and check our previous uploads, and tell us in the comments what anime you want covered next.